Yat e ade isnol sagi akoko beniye di iliagi e ya de nebzad khit aban sa akis do khit anan tindodlich khodo nasto khodo de nebzad ya da hadiana bohot awaji dodlich ado belaganik esgo e ya the language keepers ishin ba yashti dodlich do benacha yashti dodlich kad hilishana ishle. I'll show you a video or a clip of what I need to share with you. That PowerPoint. Okay, so we got there. We'll go over here, and we're going to start presentation. Akoko question do list. Akoko di is a hitishana adodli. The nebazad ya da hariana. And so I'll go ahead and present in English because the idea is that even though Navajos can listen to this, I would like to most importantly give it to those that are non-speakers because it pertains to them. When we say Navajo 1, 2, 3 for high school students, I will need to describe this in English. But the words Dine means Navajo, Azad means language, Ya Dahaliana, keepers, ones that take care, one that oversee, one that that take responsibility in taking this upon themselves to make this language be preserved in many different ways. And there's two other ideas that I have here. The wording, never let our language die. And when we think about it, we want to think in terms of the language is alive. It thinks, it breathes, it talks, it shares many different things, stories, knowledge, both past, present, and future. And so because of that, we become the keepers of that language. In this way, in this idea, we have what we call Sagat and Dine or crystal. I would like to make the suggestion that we use the sacred stone crystal to help us understand this wonderful language in that we can see things in the past, present, and future, and that in itself is a language. So the Nebuzad language keepers will take this responsibility on, and it doesn't matter if you're beginning like Navajo 1, Navajo 2, or Navajo 3. It doesn't matter where you are, you can begin this concept of helping the language grow and develop. And so in the end, it's our responsibility, whether we speak it or not speak it, whether we're on the middle of the road in understanding this. We want to take, all of us take responsibility. I'm not just talking about students. I'm talking about teachers, parents, grandparents, community leaders, and anybody that's interested in learning about this language. And so it's not just a commitment to our having a grade or passing 1 or 2 or 3 Navajo courses. It's about a commitment for life. And I would like to start an organization, the Nebuzaya Dahaliana. We can be keepers. And so your commitment will be to join this as we develop this further. And so let's go to the next item. Next slide. So this is one that we will we'll start with. And it's based on the 4 direction, this explanation that I have. So the Nebuzad Yadahadiyana is based, this particular one is for online high school students. Could it be Navajo? See, it doesn't really matter, because if you're a non-speaker, it doesn't matter if you're Navajo, non-Navajo, or Native American, it doesn't really matter. The idea is that you're interested, okay? So Navajo 1 you might be doing it for Manuality Scholarship. Number 2, you might be doing it for getting a foreign language degree. Number 3, you might be doing it for a real strong base for yourself and for your family. And so there's these 3 stretches that I like to bring into this slide. Let's take based on the 4 direction, the east direction. We have a test called ODLA test, which is the Navajo Nation test to figure out if you're fluent, if you're limited, or if you're a non-speaker. Okay, and we call this novice. And on the south side, you place that idea. If you're barely beginning Navajo language, we call you a novice, a non-proficient, non-master type person. And you're interested in the Navajo language. For high school, we call this Navajo 1. For somebody that's in grade school, it's probably the first few years of your elementary years. But we want to have this online geared to the high school students. Anyway, the test talks about receptive and expressive. Receptive is something that you might already understand in Navajo. For example, you might not know exactly how to say hello in Navajo, but you've heard it. Somebody says yat e she. You heard it, but you have never done the expressive part. You've never thought it on your own, and you've never said it on your own. And that's what we call the expressive. So the idea is we want you to listen, hear it, and begin to understand it. But more importantly, get to the part where you're thinking on your own and you speak on your own. So this is the whole idea that we're going to head towards. And you can do it at the novice level, and then you can do it at another level, which we call a limited. So let's put that on. So we have this idea right here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller so you can see what this. Maybe I can't do it. Okay, that's all right. All right, so we do have the slide in the West area. But for this online class, we have another syllabus, another course that we're going to call Navajo 2. And this is what I call early intermediate. You have a more grasp of the Navajo understanding, receptive, but you also have a strong desire to be expressive. So you're not really shy about expressing anymore, even though you might still be missing things. You might be doing sentences a little bit more, maybe different words, but you're limited. Okay. In this section, here are some things that will help you out. And I don't know if you can really see, but if you go back to the south, Navajo 1, a lot of video clips are going to be produced, and we're going to base it on what we call the Navajo Nation standards, and then what we call San Juan School District topics, and then the ODLA test, which has the different categories. Because sometimes, if you ever want to take a test as a student, we can give you that test, and it basically is a proficiency test. You can land on the novice, early intermediate, or intermediate. Okay, so what else can I do? We'll develop another group of video clips dealing with anybody that wants to be a teacher, a parent, a community leader, a facilitator, whoever. We want them to learn how to present this to other children that do not speak the language. And this, we do have this ODLA test in our school district, but we're going to focus more on, since it's online, we're going to focus more on the right brain driven idea, which is TPRS. So these are the things that will exist in the novice section, but we also will have it in the intermediate, which will be new sets of video clips that give you a little extra, a little more of the language. Okay. And then the last one that we want to share with you is this idea of the North, which is Navajo Konshta, and we call that Navajo 3. At this point, you're coming close to a very proficient, fluent, mastery type person. And the video clips will still be there based on the standards, San Juan School District topics, the ODLA test categories. And at this point, we're going to actually have you enjoy the Navajo language. And the way we're going to develop is a little different process than the way it'll be based on pictures, it'll be based on posters. And at this point, because you have a good a good grasp of the language, that's where we're going to ask you to be a bilingual author. And this, when you get to this level, let's say you did it in freshman, sophomore, junior level, and maybe senior level, when you get to that point, we are actually going to put a seal on your transcript, on your diploma, that says you're a fluent, proficient, and mastery type person in the Navajo language. Okay, so a transcript idea in this area. So Navajo 1, 2, and 3 is displayed here based on the 4 directions. Let's keep going for a minute. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide talks about the different areas, like to the east. Basically, I've already kind of said that's receptive. You're hearing the language, you're understanding the language. At this point, it might be if somebody said "hako," you understand it. Somebody says "come here," but you yourself have never said the word "hako," but you understand a lot. Well, the way we're going to develop that is video clips. The more you listen to video clips, the more you'll understand those video clips, and the more you'll begin to say, I'm going to listen for those words in the fluent speakers that I come in contact with. And then your next job is to become expressive, to be able to think that on your own, to be able to say, if you see a friend of yours, you say, "Hako, ya, yeah, because you're thinking it and you're speaking it. That's the ultimate place that we want you to be. And we'll develop video clips. And these are folks that want to teach it, right? The facilitators, community leaders, parents, grandparents, all those folks. And then TPRS, fun things that a family can do at their place, at their community, wherever, that will also be shared with you here. And then we'll go to the south section here. Okay, what can we do over there? I can make it move here. There we go. Okay, here I'm just giving you a little more detail. The SOF is a novice level, and in our school district we say if you're a novice, non-proficient, we need you to understand things at the K5 grade level, which we might, it's just talking about family, talking about clans, talking about the things that are what I call topics right here. Family, clan, colors, numbers, handle verbs, daily commands, shapes, color, time, 4 directions, food, and then we'll go right into this a little bit more about the culture, the history, the government, character development. Character development, we're going to call that it's based on a poster that we will introduce to you. And then the ODLA test, in it talks about the handle verbs and the commands and the antonym. So this is about the Navajo language. And so for that reason, we're going to develop it up here where it says Navajo Nation Standards. Okay, so video clips based on these areas. All right, so the reason why I want to share this with you is this will be available, this PowerPoint will be available, and it'll be growing. We can add video clips and things like that on these where these different words are. Okay, let's go now to the west section. In the west section, I can make it move here. Okay, it's gonna move. Okay, yeah, you're now in the early intermediate level. At this time in our school district, we call that the 6th to 8th grade level video clips. And again, we're going to develop each of these areas a little bit higher level. It'll be the intermediate or early intermediate, It'll be the limited type person. You can actually you have a pretty good strong understanding of everything that is said, but you also have a pretty good way of saying Yad Eshuma, and you can even say your clans, your where you came from, and all those things at a more proficient level. Okay, so you're halfway there in a sense. Okay, ADA D Edole. And now let's go to the last section, yeah. And this is the most probably the most exciting part of this presentation. So let's say you're at the intermediate level. This time you understand everything at a high level. You also have a pretty good grasp of how you say things, and now your mouth has gotten used to how to say things in Navajo, and you're learning on your own. You're self-initiating. You're responsible. You have become a Denebazad, Haryana yourself. You become that proficient. Anyway, this is at the high school level. We'll call this the Navajo 3 level, okay? At that point, let's go back to the Navajo Nation standards. We have language, cultural, history, government. You'll actually take stories on posters and explain it with your expressive side of your language. For example, I want to have a post, let's say, let's take language, yeah. In the language, you'll talk about verbs and antonyms and commands and things like that talk about the language structures of the language. You can actually explain it in Navajo. Number 2, the cultural part, give you something about a picture about weaving, maybe some steps, cradle board, stick games, all kinds of cultural things, and you can be able to explain those things by poster, right? And then you go to history. Again, you might be talking about the emergence story, the presidents that we've had in the past, the long walk, the livestock reduction, all those different things that the history we have gone through. Okay, maybe even the code talkers and things like that. All areas that we call history. As much as we can, that you have a real strong grasp of how to explain these posters. In the government area, might have to do with the 3 branches in the Treaty of 1868. In the character development, posters. What does it mean? What does it mean? And so you'll be able to explain those posters. And then the topics, those are the various topics that I talked to you about that I shared earlier. And then video clips. We're going to do video clips on those posters. So it's kind of like Clayton Long will do a poster that you will also do at some point. But I will do it as an example of what would a traditional person be able to explain in the poster. So it'd be samples of it. That would be your listening, developing your hearing, and developing your understanding of things. So there would be great examples of those, and it'll be done within the 5 standards to 10 topics, or maybe more topics, not tops, but topics, and ODLA test categories. These will be developed for somebody that wants to be a teacher, right? You yourself are a master person. You'll be a facilitator, maybe. You'll help out with language classes somewhere, at home, in the community, somewhere, and you'll be the Denebazad keeper. You're ready to be that teacher. Maybe some of you want to be that teacher, so you can be a teacher somewhere with the language. You have now the ability to become a bilingual author. And the last thing is that we want to put the seal of biliteracy at the graduation, at your diploma, on your diploma. And there's some articles that you can click on when you get the video or the PowerPoint. So anyway, this is what I want you to understand, and I will go ahead and stop so we can further develop these areas.